So going forward, I would like to do something called Flighty Fridays, which would essentially be that on Fridays we would do bird-themed content, as I am the coaster Keet, as in parakeet, instead of just our regular content. But before we go ahead and start that tradition, I wanted to go ahead and tell my story of how my relationship with birds evolved, and this one is extremely clear-cut and will end with how I got sunshine. But to start, we have to talk about fish, and fear not, this is Flighty Friday and not Flipping Friday, so we won't stay on fish for too long. But it is important to know that when I was a kid, I had fish. I had 3 that I can remember the names of, Rosie, Dozy, and Clapsnap. Rosie was kind of like this white, pinkish fish. Clapsnap was this really, really big. He started off as a feeder fish that I got at someone's birthday party when I was super tiny, but he outlived all of his brothers and then just became a super fish and lived on for years, like over 10 years. And then we had Dozy, who was this kind of black, sort of decorative fish. And so we went ahead, we had these fish, they lived, they died, and most of them were still around. We also got 2 other feeder fish that were supposed to just clean the tank, and Clapsnap ate them because he doesn't like it when other feeder fish go into his property, so they didn't survive. But we went ahead and had all these fish, but I got very irritated as a little kid because I extremely loved petting animals like dogs, cats, rabbits, gerbils, whatever. When I was in, I believe it was kindergarten, we had this pet guinea pig named Superman, I believe, and each week, a different student would get to take it home for the weekend, and when I got Superman my weekend, I was so excited. It was insane. I did everything with Superman. It was like the best day ever. And eventually I had to give him back, but this need to have a pet that I could actually touch kind of stuck with me, and it stuck with me all the way through middle school when one fateful morning my mom comes running into the door from some gardening that she's doing, and she's like, "I just saw something on the ground, I don't know what it was." And then we all go out and we investigate, and we see this little baby sparrow that had fallen from its nest, who was on the ground and looked pretty injured. And so we decided to take this little sparrow. I took it and I had to breathe on it to try and keep it warm, to try and keep it surviving. And we took this sparrow and we took care of it for a pretty long time, a good number of weeks. We gave it a name. Its name was Wild Wing 2, after the mascot of the Anaheim Ducks. We went ahead and we fed it this wet cat food sort of thing, and we managed to nurse it to a good age of 3 weeks or so, and it unfortunately passed away of unknown causes and just kind of left us sad. But that was the catalyst for getting into birds, because without Wild Wing we probably never would have really looked into birds seriously. But because of Wild Wing, it led me to do a ton of research on just birds and where you could buy birds and where you could get birds and what kinds of birds. And we eventually settled on the parakeet, because parakeets actually don't live super long, which is good because you don't want a parrot that lives 80 years and potentially outlives you and then has to live the rest of its life alone. That seems a little bit too much of a responsibility for our family, at least. And so we decided as a family that we were going to get parakeets. And we decided on parakeets, not a parakeet, because we wanted them to always be companions. We didn't want them to be super lonely. We wanted them to always have someone to go to. And so we went ahead, we went to the Petco, and we found these two parakeets that were playing with each other at the time, and there was one that was yellow with a blue veneer, and another that was this very light blue. And so we went ahead and got those two and named them Wild Wing the Third for the yellow one and Skyla for the blue one, because she kind of looked like the nice sky in the day. And so we had these parakeets for a while. I played with them. I made a few videos with them that I may one day share on this channel, and just had a great time with them. A little bit too great of a time because one night Skyla got into some water that she shouldn't have, and it was a cold winter night. And we tried our best to warm her up, but as we tried desperately to do various things, they just all weren't successful, and she ended up dying of hypothermia. And so we were left with only Wild Wing the Third. And as I mentioned, we didn't want Wild Wing to be lonely, and so we went ahead and got Sunshine. And so we went and got Sunshine and brought him back, and the two were just constantly bickering. They were just fighting all the time, and it was a bit of a mess. But I ended up naming Sunshine because when I went to the pet store that day after Skyla had died, I was thinking, like, oh, the next parakeet I get has to be some white one. It has to be called Cloudy or something like that. It has to be some sort of storm-based name to reflect the events of what has just happened. But when I saw Sunshine, and Sunshine has this vividly bright yellow head that you might have seen, and a bright blue body, and wings that do have that kind of grayish cloud motif sort of thing going on. And when I saw Sunshine, I thought, no, if we're getting this one, we cannot call this like cloudy or stormy or something like that. This is our Sunshine in our dark hours. And when Wild Wing eventually passed on to join Skyla, where I'm sure he was much happier because, as I mentioned, him and Sunshine just did not get along. We were left with Sunshine, and Sunshine was a bit older bird than the rest of them. When we had gone to the Petco, they had said that they had tried to get him out for a lot of people, and he just never, the catchers never managed to get him before the people gave up and just chose another one. So Sunshine was about a year old, we think, when we got him. And then we've now had him for an extremely long time, like 7 or 8 years-ish, and he still goes ahead and brings light to our lives. He's still jumping around, chirping, flying, just as he used to, and he's just a good bird. And so this kind of whole sequence, and the fact that Sunshine has lasted so long, has really cemented his place in my heart as just an amazing pet, and we have gained a bond, though I am losing that with being away from him during college, where he would go ahead and fly to my shoulder whenever I was feeling like down or sad. So he's just a really silly, really stupid type bird, but he's great, and at this point he's family, so, you know, what can I say? I'm glad he brings Sunshine into my life. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and like. Go ahead and comment down below what your pet's name is and what kind of animal they are, because names don't necessarily give away breed at this point. And yeah, go ahead and subscribe if you like my stories or you want to see more of Sunshine. I can definitely get that for you. And yeah, I hope that you guys have a great day, and I hope that you soar high and enjoy your ride of life.